For someone that's always rearranging my shelves to create the best cozy aesthetics, I now have a game that gives me points to do so. Hey everyone, you're watching Play the Game HQ. I'm Allison and I'm looking at My Shelfie that was sent to us from Lucky Duck for a review. Now, this game is adorable. When you first get it, you have these pieces that make you think of Connect 4. As soon as the boys saw the game, they were like, Connect 4, but it's square. I think that's like our square one up there. It's not Connect 4. It is a solo as far as like setting up your game. So there's no like player interaction to how I'm setting up my game or my shelves, except for how we're drafting. So you've got these tiles here on the floor of this central floor board here, and you've got games, you have cats because cats like to go onto the empty shelves, you have plants, you have pictures, and what you're trying to do is set up your shelf according to the unique goals. So everyone has 2 goals here that we're trying to set out to achieve. And these are stacked here, so the first player that is able to achieve that goal gets more points. I believe it's 8 for the first one, yeah. So it's 8, then 6, then 4, then 2, I believe, depending on your player count. But then everyone also is getting their own unique hidden goals as far as where you want to put your cats, where you want to put your games on your shelf. I have one set up here and I'll show you that in a second. I already have all my goals, my personal secret goals complete for this shelf here. But also you get points for like 3 or more games that you have put together, or cats or plants. So you get points that way. And then you also get points for being the first one to completely fill your shelf. I've got it set up here for a game of 2 players. You'll see here these little pips, like dice pips, is for 3. If you have 3 players, you put more on those. And then if you have 4, you would fill it up. And they just come from this little bag here. Now, when you draft, you can draft 1 to 3 tiles, but they have to be unlocked is what we were saying. So like these 2 here on the outside, I can draft those 2, which then unlocks these behind here, and I can draft those. But say I really want this cat and this plant, I can draft just the plant, but that cat is locked up in there. So until these are drafted, that cat's gonna hang out in there. So say I draft these 2 here. So I've got another plant and I've got a set of books. Now you will note on your personal shelf here, shelf goals, this right here is like the lighter beige. That is the books. And then here, right here is the pink with the leaf, that is your plants. So here is this here. I can lay this down for you to see. Now I've got my picture frame down here that matches. I don't know if it's dark if you can see that. Then you've got your trophies, plant, book, cat, and game pieces there. So I have already completed all of my goals here on this card. So that would get me 12 points at the end of the game. Now, the important thing to know when you draft, you have to use all of the tiles that you drafted, and it has to be in a single column. So I can't, if it's like, oh, I want my books to be in one column and my plants to be in another column, I can't do that. It has to go in the same column and not even in rows. So if I were to draft these 2 here, I've got books here. So I'm gonna go ahead and, so that I have more points possibly, I'm gonna go ahead and put my book there and my plant on top. Hopefully I can connect a book over here so I can get 3 points, or I guess 2 more points at the end, and maybe even connect even more of those books to get me more points. You'll see here these cats, I've got 5 cats in a row right here. That's going to get me 5 points at the end of the game, having all those cats in the same area. No, I don't have 5. I have 4. I have 4 cats. It's dark. I thought that teal was green. Now you also have these goals here. I've almost achieved this goal, which is creating this stair stack. So I've got, see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have it almost all the way. So what I would have probably done, instead of stack those here, I would have put those here to take that. So I'm gonna go ahead and, so say I take these 2. I've got the books. I'm gonna put I've got the frames. I'm gonna put those next to each other, even though it doesn't really get me more points. And I'm gonna stick my cat right there because I might get another cat to add more points. But now that I've created this goal here, I get to take this number 2 goal on top. That gives me 8 points at the end of the game. If someone else completes it the same round, it goes in turn order. So they would then take the next one, which is a 6. And then it just goes from there. Now throughout the game, these will be depleted. So you will then refill from the bag if you have 4 or less still on the board. And it gets a little push and pull as far as like, ooh, I'm really wanting to collect more of the books or the picture frames to complete, because you've got different goals here. All of these are the different goals that you can have throughout the game. And then everyone else has different personal. So like this one here is nothing in this single column matches. So you'd have to have different tiles in every one of those columns to match. That might mess up your personal goal. That also might mess up another group goal. So you kind of have to pick and choose which ones are more valuable. If it's like, I really think I can complete that first and get that 8 point, that will be more valuable than the 4 point later on if I can't complete the next one at all. An end game is triggered when the first person fills up their entire shelfie and they get this extra point at the end of the game, just to signify that they were the first one to complete it. And then everyone gets to finish, everyone has the same amount of turns. So the turn order finishes and then you add up points. So you have the points for the single point for whoever fills up theirs first, your points for your personal goals, group goals that you were collecting throughout the game, and then you will go and look at your shelf and see what you have connected. So right here, I've got 3 of my picture frames. I got 3 trophies, so that's 2 plus 2, so that's 4. I have 4 cats, which could be 3 points. So that's 7 points there on top of what my personal goals and then the group goals I was able to achieve. Now, we have played this at a 4-player count. I believe my boys have played it at a 2-player count. They pull it out onto the game table all the time. Because I just had a baby, Mom doesn't get to play as many games with them, so they've been pulling out games that they can play really well, 2-player games. This is one of those. One thing I will say that they have complained about, and that is kind of frustrating as well, is just how easily these get shifted and moved when they get placed out here when people are drafting, especially the little hands that don't move things on the board as smoothly. It's like, okay, we have got to reposition all these because it does matter where they are in relation to how you're drafting. And that's really my only grievance for the game. It plays so fast. It says 25 minutes. I think if you're playing with all adults, it would play faster because you're able to process a little bit quicker what you're doing. It did play about 25 minutes with my 13-year-old. I've really enjoyed this game. I love the vertical dynamic of it. It does remind me with the drafting and building my own little area of like Kohaku, where you're doing the same thing, that you are building your pawns. What this does is it gives you the structure of your 6 by 5 of your shelf versus like other tile drafting games where you're building your own tile area. A lot of them, you just kind of create it randomly. There's not this structure of, okay, I have to fill in these areas. I like that. I like games that give you structure like that. It makes it a little bit less abstract, which I like abstract, but when I'm playing games like this, I like to know cut and dry what I'm expected to do, especially when you've got goals like this. So someone who really enjoys the aesthetics of designing my shelf and just the way it feels, I really enjoy this game. This was My Shelfie. It was sent to us from Lucky Duck as a review. Again, I'll leave links below where you can check it out yourself. I will see you later. Bye.